SUI bottoming out. This is NC Hammer Crypto. My name is Neil, keeping technical analysis short and sweet. This is only for members of YouTube and Patreon. So shout out to you guys for being members. We're going to break this down bit by bit. I'm going to try and do this video kind of quick. I've done a bunch of videos today. My iPad's starting to lag out, so bear with me. We're looking at SUI on crypto's on TradingView for crypto.com. First thing I'd want to do is try and see where some type of support is at. Bottom to the other bottom. You could say this line could be drawn a little bit lower for the support because it hits that single point right here. So there is the possibility to retrace, to pretty much grab this liquidity that was trapped, let those people get out before it takes off. This is a very similar pattern to what we've seen with XLM. We're looking just at the basics, the fundamentals. Let's do some support and resistance. $5.34 would be an area of support and resistance, somewhere more or less in here. $2.01 is more or less support and resistance. Let's drop it down even back here, see if there's anything to go off of, more or less. That would be our bottom. There is a point that is absolutely tiny bit lower. Boom. So that's kind of the fair value gap for the absolute bottom if it were to retrace there. I have looked at SUI in the past before. It's not one of my real go-to coins, but I do see the utility and cases behind it, the potential that it does have, but there's not a whole bunch of information to state, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, where it's up thousands and you can kind of get a guesstimation similar with Tornado Cash. Like, you have the data that shows that it can go up to 459. The only data I really see with SUI is $5.34. So 3x, 4x maybe. Similar thing to XLM. We're working within a downward channel. You could just draw some lines at any real point for the median. And we have this traveling within this channel, and it's clearly trying to stick within that channel. We are trying to build higher lows, similar with what we've seen with XLM, XRP, XCN, all those other X's. CM Guppy is pretty heavy, but we want to ride this out in some consolidation before moving upwards, because if we move real quick up, we are more than likely going to get rejection on that 200 EMA and come back down within the bottom half of this channel. If we consolidate, it gives the 200 EMA more time to come down, and with that consolidation, let's get rid of everything. Here's the 200 EMA coming down more or less. With consolidation, it gives us time to get closer to the 200 EMA, which does have the possibility to push it down. But if we can consolidate long enough to get over this 50, it would be at the same time getting over that 200 EMA, giving us the ability to push up to 297, more than likely get a little rejection here, and then push up out of the channel like we've seen with QNT, test this as support, and then move up to $5.44. Let me check another chart and see if there's any better information. Nothing on OKX. Let's check Binance. Let's see if there's previous history. The previous history, the all-time high is still below $5. So the real risk to reward ratio isn't the best compared to some of the other coins I've been talking about in my videos. There is the possibility of it bottoming out here. RSI is right at the 50, which means we can have that pullback underneath this yellow line, which would be that retracement to the further low being around the 70, 72 cent area. I'm not entering into SUI anytime soon. I want to see it consolidate and get over that 200 EMA, but we have seen clearly when it holds above the 200 EMA that it does have some pretty nice profit ratio, 427% from the previous time it crossed. And you could essentially take, I guess it's not the best formation, but if it were a bull flag, I don't see this as a bull flag. You would take it from the bottom to the top, and then you would drag that as soon as it breaks out of the triangle, roughly 151%. But what we've seen in crypto is typically when it hits the all-time high, being around $5, we could expect a minimum of double to potentially $10 for SUI. In my opinion, there are definitely better options out there than SUI. If you are in SUI at the moment, hold on to it. It's going to ride its way up. More than likely, we're going to be hitting this previous all-time high at $5 and beyond. So, I mean, $1.60 turning into $5, pretty good risk to reward, but I do think there are better options out there. Keeping in mind, none of this is financial advice, and like, I'll bring it up yet again. For example, Tornado Cash, $10. It is almost like 9 times more expensive than what we were just talking about. But this one is actually on the move. It's very healthy. It's trying to break out of that downward trend line. It's already been showing its support above the 200 EMA consistently, as well as the $11 mark. So $11 is the new bottom for Tornado Cash. $13.72 is a definite steal, because we do have previous history showing that it can very easily hit $39. And if you're looking at that for the risk to reward, that is about 180%, similar to SUI, but that's not its all-time high. Its all-time high is more or less here, 3,200%. So 3,200% or 32x compared to SUI being potentially 5x, so 500%. Pretty big differential. I personally would recommend stacking a bigger bag of Tornado Cash over SUI. SUI does have a little bit better utility case, isn't really being suppressed by governments and stuff like that, but Tornado Cash is actually being backed by the founder of Ethereum. So, you know, you got a really big heavy hitter backing Tornado Cash. SUI is its kind of own entity, but it does have potential to be pushing up. So if we were to say we do the same risk to reward, say it hits its all-time high, 227. To hit the previous high in Tornado, it's about 50% of that, but it's a lot easier to hit that $32 mark instead of SUI to hit the $5 mark. I could be incorrect, but I do think the maximum for the legitimate realization, maybe 500% in SUI. However, we could be pushing as high as 800% for SUI. But when you compare that to something like Tornado Cash, which does have that representation and the data backing it, there's a lot more potential to gain more money within this quick bull run, and it moves very quickly. 2 days could be up 120%. When you're looking at SUI, there's been no real information that it does a real quick push in a day or two. So you could be missing that potential move from selling your Tornado, grabbing that 100% and then slapping it into SUI before it takes off. But this is just my pure opinion. None of it's financial advice. I'm not, drawn more to one coin than the other. I just see the potential of what they could potentially bring, and that's just kind of what I see. I think if you're going to put $100 into SUI or $100 into Tornado, you're going to reap the rewards a lot quicker and a lot more with Tornado Cash than SUI. That's just my pure opinion. If you're in SUI, hold on to it. You're going to reap the rewards. It just may not be as big as one might think. That's it for this video. I'm done for the day. Good luck. Like and subscribe, donate, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys on the next one.